So this video is for the families, for the husbands, the wives, the mums, the dads, the brothers and sisters who are scared, frustrated and heartbroken. I'm Gary, I'm an addict in recovery and I'm the co-founder of Gladstone's clinic. So what is an intervention? You know, this is a buzzword within the addiction community, but also in the world. You know, we hear about these things on reality TV, on the news. You know, there's a lot of myths around them. You know, there's a lot of misunderstanding. Let me tell you that an intervention firstly comes from a place of compassion. It comes from a place of love. And most importantly, it comes from a place of unity. And that unity is within the family group or friends or the network that the particular individual is engaged with. And the intervention has two components. The first part, again, as I said in the beginning, comes from a place of love and compassion. We would spend probably around the day before, at least a full day, with all the individual family members. And within that process, we would ask them to write letters. We ask them very specific to that individual. And so it's a specific engagement. It's a specific connection, a specific moment between these two individuals of happiness and of love and of time before the addiction. And then we kind of move on to more sort of specific moment of, I'm so upset to see you in this particular place right now. And then the final part of that letter is, I love you so much. All I want is I want my brother back. I want the brother I once knew. I need him back. Please accept help to treatment. This, of course, as you can understand, even with a snapshot, is an extremely powerful process. You can imagine you have all the family members here writing these letters and reading them aloud to the individual, supported by clinicians and treatment staff. So generally there are two people from this facility, one who's clinical and one in support to then take the person to the treatment process. But this is a very, very emotional process. This is a very, very powerful process. There is also a second part to an intervention. In this event, if there's still resistance that is more specific to what we call consequences, and in that event, what should I do? What should I do if they don't go? What is the next step? Because it's very easy to look at the kind of the textbook stuff of, oh, well, choose tough love, you know, send them out, they have to go. And sometimes these points are the catalyst that they then go, okay, I need to go to treatment. Of course, we prefer it to come from the point of love, but sometimes it has to come from the point of consequence, and sometimes it comes from the two together. And at that point, the relief that you generally see, not just in the loved one, the individual who requires help, but in the family, is overwhelming. There's an immediate relief when somebody chooses to go to treatment. This is not just a problem for the individual, and therefore not just a solution for the individual. Addiction is a family problem. Therefore, treatment is a family solution. You know, if you believe one of your family members, if you believe one of your loved ones is struggling with addiction, you know, whether you see that in their behavior, whether you think they're lying, whether you think they're hiding stuff, they've let us down on too many occasions, or they've made too many excuses that you just know are not true, I think you have to be gentle. There's not one right approach to any of this. You know, this is probably the hardest bit. I mean, I suppose this is the first step, and you never know whether that family member wants you to make that first step. They could be reaching out for help. Some of this negative behavior that you're seeing could be a cry for help. But it could also be that they don't want any help at all because they're obsessed with their addiction. You know, they're so shameful, they're so guilty, they're so kind of fearful of being discovered that they might push you away. So I kind of bring it down to, we have to come from a very gentle approach. And that's often very difficult because there is generally an immediate sense of anger or annoyance or blame or, why are you doing this? You know, why can't you stop? But I think in these circumstances, that approach just, you know, history has shown us that just doesn't work. If you are able to come with some kind of compassion, let me tell you, there will be time later in treatment to get everything off your chest. You know, all this anger, all this rage, all this, oh my God, how could you have done this to us? Yeah, there is a time for that. That time is not now. You know, the time now is to really see if we can kind of make some connection, if we can reach out. We're almost looking for a chink in the armor, you know, to kind of get through to pass the kind of the mask and the charade and the armor of addiction. Will this person, will your loved one, will your son, your daughter, your mum, your dad, whoever it is, will they accept some help? And that takes compassion, that takes softness, that takes love. And really in the first process, can we help? In my experience, there are some specific things I think families could do to open up the subject to talk about addiction. Pick your moment. Please don't do this in the middle of an argument. Maybe get support from other family members. I don't mean that to go mob-handed to bully them, but it's sometimes easier when you come from a place of compassion, come from a place of understanding. Take a deep breath. Try and be calm. Try not to blame. So sometimes we find that families really struggle to make a connection. They really struggle to break through, to kind of open up some kind of dialogue, some kind of communication with the person that's suffering from addiction. And we understand this to be really challenging. Sometimes this is met with anger, sometimes it's met with dismissiveness, slamming doors, leave me alone, hiding in different places, just not wanting to engage. And in this circumstance, what do we need to do? Well, we need professional help. This comes in the form of an intervention. Interventions are a key part of what we do even within the treatment process at Gladstone's. The more we put in, the more we get out. So preparation is the key to any intervention, because what is the goal? The goal is to help your loved one. The goal is to help that loved one engage in a treatment process, and literally from the moment of the intervention, you want them to be prepared to go to treatment. That begins with understanding the individual from the family's perspective. That begins with meeting with the family, talking with the family, understanding the pain, the difficulty, the behavior, so that we see this is the journey that needs to happen. The other part of this that's really important is that within any person going into treatment, there are a wide variety of excuses, barriers, difficulties, things that prevent people from going into treatment. These start with the big ones, such as, I've got to work, I've got a holiday planned, but it could be as simple as who's going to feed my cat. So what we do with that intervention process with the family is we try and take care of all, if not 99% of all of the potential excuses to go into treatment are taken care of in that time. Because what the family want and what we want is in that moment where the intervention is successful, that person literally gets up, gets in the car and goes to treatment. That's it. So I really hope you found this video helpful. I hope you've gained some kind of insight into what an intervention is all about. If there's anything else we can help with, or if you need to speak to us, please give us a call on the number below.